Oh my God, he's fallen and he can't get up. You know, it may just be me, but I feel a little concerned about a game called the Caligula Effect.
That is bothersome. Okay, now I will be right back in just a second. Okay, yeah, looks like we're on. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're going to start the podcast in just a minute. Ron will be here to entertain and edify in equal measure until I return. And hey, Bebop, good to see you.
It seems awfully optimistic, John.
Perhaps.
And hey, Bebop, welcome to the show. Hopefully, we'll have a wondrous time this afternoon. So, and Liz will be joining us at some point. I think she'll be here, or she is here, or something. Hey, Blue Rybot, Vagrant Souls, how you guys doing? Hope you're having a good Friday. I'm having a good Friday. You still miss George. That's a shame. If only I knew who George was. Vagrant Souls says, am I the only one who doesn't care about the new Call of Duty? We're going to talk about that today. And you might be surprised to learn that you're not. I'm not sure what all exciting things you folks have been doing this week, but we've got some fun stuff to talk about today. Once John finds his way back to the computer, we'll be able to get started.
Hello.
There's Liz. Liz is joining us this week, as always. Say hi to the chat, Liz.
Hi, chat.
We're pseudo live. We are live and talking to chat, but the be right back screen's still up. So.
Oh, okay.
Fascinating.
That works. I'm just going to apologize to everybody. I've got my little one here, and she is in rare form today. So I may be in and out, and we may have some colorful commentary from her in the background.
Yeah, Blue Riot Bot makes a good point. He says he misses George. George is still here.
George. Like, I have George every night, but I'm just having George on the podcast.
Yes, George is actually still here. He's just you can't see him. He's stealthy. It's Stealth George. Just pre-ordered Shadow of War for £37, and I'm playing Mario Kart. Is that the new Mario Kart Deluxe? Dun, dun, dun. Is that actually out now?
I think so. Maybe.
I can't keep up. I've heard people praising it pretty highly so far. So
yeah, I know a couple people who have played it, and they were really, really very fond of it.
Well, I mean,
it's Mario Kart, of course.
it's not only is it Mario Kart, it's Mario Kart 8, which
right
we've all already played.
So yeah, I'm not surprised that it's good. It just all comes down to what do I have to play on.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the problem. That is the problem. The problem is the Mario Kart 8 is kind of a mess. Or having to buy the Switch to play Mario Kart 8 is still not going to get it done for me. So
right.
Hey, Hairless Worgen joins us as well.
Hey. Where'd John go?
I don't know. It's kind of a mystery. And I'm not gonna lie, the little Hardy boy is here inside of me wants to go solve it, but the rest of me just wants to sit here and wait. So
especially based on the conversation we had before this went live.
yes.
She's sitting here trying to have a discussion with me about bathing suits. I'm so sorry.
There's a really good chance that sounds good. In case you're wondering, thanks, Harris Morgan. That's cool. Glad we sound good. Come on, John. So, Liz, what have you been playing this week?
You know exactly what I've been playing on. City Skylines.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was expecting you to say Overwatch. So
no, it's this is like I told you, it's like therapy to me. And I never got into city builders or anything like that, but
it's a really good one.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
And all the workshop, there's a ton of workshop content for it that's fun to mess with, and yeah. The Blue Riot Bot suggests that we have your little girl replace John, which if we could teach her how to use XSplit, might not be a bad choice.
Hey, I mean, she's a pretty smart little cookie.
And Blue Riot Bot also says she sounds interesting, and we said right before we went live that she had the most personality of any of these people.
That is true.
Because I mean, this is not that that's setting the bar real high, but
true.
Yeah. I actually, I've had people for the last 2 or 3 years telling me that I need to do a live stream show with my kid.
You absolutely do.
Because he's better than most people at video games. Like, and so they were like, you should just do the show where he teaches you how to play video games. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want people to see that I'm that much worse than my 12-year-old. So,
right.
Yeah, I have a little bit of pride. I keep it in a little box in the closet. It's very handy.
Assuming I can get myself a capture card that will work in time, I might be doing something like that, but it'll be with my little brother.
Yeah,
Injustice too.
While we wait for John, it's probably a good time to mention what you're working on for June.
Oh, we are
putting
together another charity stream.
That's right.
Very exciting one. That's going to be where I would like to debut the brother-sister battle of Injustice 2. It's going to be really nice because usually we stick with Mortal Kombat, my brothers and I. I've got 2 of them. And usually we stick with Mortal Kombat, but I figured this would be a nice transition for them. You know, a lot of the movesets are relatively similar. And the one thing is, like, my little brother, he's very frustrating to battle in Mortal Kombat because he always picks Scorpion. So now we're removing that, and he's probably just always going to pick Batman. But it's nice that I'm not going to be constantly going against Scorpion.
Right.
So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, we're going to be raising money again for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia via Extra Life. And we're shooting for the last weekend in June, Saturday into Sunday. So.
Yeah, we'll be starting right now. I think the plan is to start at 2 p.m. Eastern on June 24th and go 24 hours. So
that's right. 24 of them straight.
We're gonna have some special guests. We'll have some giveaways.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
We'll have more information on that as we get closer. You'll know everything that's going to be going out. So
yeah, we'll have plenty of schedules and structures and descriptions and things like that. But
everything we didn't have last time.
Not everything we didn't have last time. Don't promise everything, Liz. Come on, leave yourself a little wiggle room here.
Oh God. Well, you know what? Last time we did very well, considering we had a whopping 3 or 4 days to plan it. So
Oh yeah.
it still was, I would call it a success. I would not call it a failure. So this time it would be so much more organized.
Listen, I showed up. I called it a win just because I managed to get there.
You got to show up for this one.
Yes, I am certainly planning on being here for this one.
Hey, everyone.
You picked a good weekend. I'm not going to be out of town or anything that I know of.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm giving you plenty of notice.
Indeed you are. So it's definitely,
Hello?
we would love to see. Hello, John.
Hey.
Welcome back.
We would definitely love to see everybody come and join us the weekend of June 24th and 25th. We're going to play a bunch of games. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to raise money for a really good cause. So
Yeah, we are.
So welcome back, John.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Let's see here. Blue Riot Bot.
Oh, it's Civ 6.
Blue Riot Bot, Vagrant Souls.
I just want to point out, I have been pushing Liz to give this one a go too, because I want to hear Liz.
Pushing me to no, you started yesterday where you said I'd like to see you play Civ 6.
Yeah, and why did I say I wanted you to play Civ 6? Because I want you to act out the parts of the leaders on stream.
Is that what it is?
Is the organization trustworthy? We all the money that is raised from our charity stream will be going to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Yes, via Extra Life.
Yes, via Extra Life. Yeah, Blue Riot Bot. John mentions there was a push in chat to have Liz's daughter replace you on the stream today, but I held out. Only because Liz's daughter is not fully versed in the workings of XSplit.
Yeah, I was going to say, she doesn't have the technological expertise yet.
But from what Liz was telling me, she's working on it, so.
Let's be honest, I don't even have the technological expertise, so.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got that going for you, John. Liz is training her, so her assimilation shall be slow.
Well,
yeah, we're long way out.
Although, actually, as I've said before, my main long-term goal with this channel is to eventually phase out the need for me to do any actual work at all. So if Layla could replace me as the main technical expert here, then
you'd call that a win.
But yeah, that's progress.
All right. All right, so now that John's here, let's get started. We've got a lot of stuff to get to today. So it is the Escapist Live podcast for the week of April the 28th. Happy Friday. I'm joined, as always, by the dynamic duo of our hit stream guy, Mr. John Markley.
Hello.
And Escapist senior editor, Liz Finnegan.
Hello.
And, of course, I am the managing editor of the Escapist, Ron Whitaker. We are going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today. But the first thing I wanted to bring up, because I want to see if you guys agree with me on something. This week,
no,
you're probably right. For the last 3 years or so, there's been a mod team working on bringing Red Dead Redemption, at least the map and the locations, over to GTA 5, which is pretty ambitious. But they've been working on it, and they've made a ton of progress. And earlier this week, or maybe over the weekend, they released a new trailer that showed off their progress so far, and it was pretty impressive. It really was. Unfortunately, it ran into a little issue where once the trailer went up and Rockstar saw how far along they were, they immediately put the DMCA boot on them, so to speak. And I've seen a lot of people.
Oh, did everybody tweet the podcast out?
No, but I will. So I've seen a lot of people talking online saying things like, boy, if you're working on a project like this, just don't tell anybody until it's done. Right? Just don't, keep your mouth shut, finish it up, and then release it and go from there. Right?
Right.
So the question is, and the reason I'm asking you guys, how do you feel about this? I mean, do you think that that's a good choice? Do you think that the answer is to sort of slip by until the project's already released and you really can't, because once you release it, it's on the internet, it's there forever, right? Or do you think maybe don't pick things for your mods that are copyrighted?
Yeah, that's God. Oh, I don't know. It's tricky.
It is tricky.
It is. It's very tricky. There's no clear cut answer. You obviously don't want to infringe on any rights. Obviously, you don't want to be accused of stealing somebody else's work. But it sucks that they spent so much time working on it and made so much progress, and then got to this. I don't know.
I feel like
come back to me.
Lunar Lily says, why doesn't Rockstar just do what creators of Skyrim did and use mods to keep the game popular? That's a good question.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I think if you look at GTA, there are mods for GTA. There's not a ton, but there are some out there. I feel like that Rockstar's perfectly fine with people making mods. Just don't know how they feel about people making mods with their stuff.
Which seems a little bit odd.
I know. There's always been a weird sort of dichotomy with the relationship between companies and modders, because
right, because it's not as if they're stealing it for something totally separate to make huge alterations to release over here or over there for money or anything. Like it's a mod. I don't know.
Well, and the great thing about it is that it's not like they're making a bunch of money. So, right. And it's not like people can play this Red Dead Redemption 5 mod without buying GTA. So it would seem to me it would be in Rockstar's best interest for it to be out there.
True.
Right? Right.
Is it possible that they're worried about it competing directly with Red Dead Redemption? People people might just not buy the game because they could get this mod instead.
Well, no, the only thing it was bringing over was the map and the world. The actual quests and experiences and story weren't coming with it.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's interesting because a lot of people are pointing at it and going, "See, they don't want it out there because they're going to release Red Dead Redemption for PC." Okay. That's the thing. The people are now speculating that they're going to bring out Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC and have a remaster of the first game on PC as well. And I'll be honest with you, while I would love to see that happen, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Of the things that aren't going to happen, that one probably is not going to happen the most.
Right.
So, I honestly don't know. But I hope it does. I hope it happens. I just think
I certainly wouldn't be unhappy.
Right. I just think there's a line somewhere that's getting drawn, and Rockstar's drawn and saying this is what we will. This is this far and no further with our intellectual property.
Right.
So, and Lunar Lily says, I think it's also like a pride thing with developers. Like, oh my God, these mod creators are better than us. Maybe. I have definitely seen some mods. There's one of the best examples of that is Old School. But for those of you that have played Battlefield 1942, Desert Combat, that mod consistently had more players than Battlefield 1942 did.
Well, then you know what you do? You hire them.
That's what. Well, and they ended up working on some stuff, and they became developers in their own right. It was. That has happened on more than one occasion where really good modders have gone on to be developers that we know now. You think about the team that made Red Orchestra, which was a mod for Unreal Tournament, World War II game, and they went on to become Tripwire Studios.
Right.
The company that they're the mod team that made Desert Combat ended up becoming Dice New York. Dice bought them.
Right.
And they were working on Battlefield 2. They worked on Battlefield 2 for about a year and a half. Maybe not that long. But anyway, they were there a long time. So it's very interesting to me to see how that happens. It seems like maybe you ought, at this point, modders, let's all have a little agreement that we're not going to grab complete, Like maybe that mod you're making where you're going to bring the original Star Wars Battlefront over into the new Star Wars Battlefront might not be your best decision. Okay? Because Disney.
Right.
Yeah, the Hairless Worgen brings up the Forgotten City mod team as well. I think they did become a developer, but I can't remember which one they became. All I know is that it's happened on several occasions. So it's definitely worth pointing out. So Liz, what about here's the thing. Lothian brings up a point. He says mods are a developer's demo. I know a lot of developers. I know even like Gabe Newell at Valve has said they would rather hire a modder who has put mods out, successfully put mods out, than they would hire who has no credentials at all except that mod, rather than hiring somebody that has a degree in game design.
Right.
Because that modder has proven that they can do the hardest thing there is to do in video games, which is release something.
Yeah.
So I'm watching, just for those of you listening, by the way, John is playing Civ 6 to give you something to look at while you listen. It looked like maybe, for just a second, I thought that was barbarians, John.
There are barbarians, yeah. There are barbarians. The barbarian gangbang may be about to commence in earnest. If we can't shut it down quickly.
Oh, boy. So, Liz, I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you saw, Blizzard says they're working on 6 new Overwatch maps.
Yeah.
3 of them are coming out this year, most likely.
Right.
Do you think it's enough? Do you think it's enough?
Do I think it's enough? Well,
is 3 maps coming out in a year enough content?
Well, we're talking just maps, though. We're not talking about new characters. We already know that they're very far along on the next new character. They've said that. Mm-hmm. We know that at any given time, they have multiple different characters that they are working on. They are doing events. Hopefully, they finally cave in and give us a relatively permanent PvE mode. I kind of feel like we're headed towards something a little bit more story-based with them, even if it is more episodic or event-based. But just because it's 3 maps in a year doesn't mean that's all that's going to happen. It means that's all map-wise. So I think it should be fine. Some of the maps do feel like they are getting relatively stale if you play it a lot, which I do. I'm not going to lie. But there's enough that is introduced in the interim that makes it so that it's not too bad. You've got the arcade mode. You've got the different, events, like I said, that they run where you very frequently see different versions of familiar maps.
Right.
I hope they eventually make the Uprising version of King's Row playable in the main game. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they already have it, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as was pointed out in chat just a minute ago, they're moving. You're seeing a lot of crossover between Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm now.
Right.
And in fact, they just launched, what do they call it? The Nexus Challenge.
Yes, which John and I have to start doing.
Yes. We both covet that the diva, the officer diva costume.
Skin, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I never thought that I would download Heroes, but here we are.
but this is where we are. And they've got a really neat promotion going on right now. If you haven't played Heroes of the Storm or you'd like to get back into it, you can they'll give you 100 coins, I think it is, or one of the currencies, shards, coins.
Stormland Fun Bucks.
There you go. That sounds good. Fun Bucks. And then you can buy one bundle of 20 heroes for 100 for 100 Fun Bucks. So, which is a pretty good deal on that. And you can unlock, there's an assassin's box, there's a support box, there's a tank box. So you can get a bunch of characters that are the type of character that you like to play.
Right.
As it's going on. So, that's pretty neat too. And then they've added, of course, they've added loot boxes to Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, loot boxes.
I love loot boxes so much.
I can hear the joy in your voice.
My favorite thing. I really love repeats.
So they've got some challenges going on as part of this Nexus challenge. So this one is you in the first week you need to play 5 games with a friend, and you get a hover cycle mount, a war banner, a spray, and a Genji portrait, and a skin. You know, all that comes in Heroes of the Storm. And you get a skin, an icon, and a spray in Overwatch as well. So, you know, week 2, which starts next week, is one where you get the Officer Diva skin, you guys. Next week.
That's the one.
So I know you guys are excited. So
That's all we want.
I know. I know. You know that you can get the Officer Diva spray in week 3 for Overwatch.
I don't care as much about that.
You don't care as much about that?
I do. Some of you may know I'm an Overwatch spray connoisseur ever since they gave the option to equip 4 at once. So.
Well, so what about week 4? If you play 5 games with a friend in week 4, you get 10 loot chests for Overwatch and 10 for Heroes of the Storm. So that's
I'll probably get nothing new out of any of those. So.
Oh no, y'all get a ton of just for reference sake. My wife enjoys Heroes of the Storm, so she bought her package of 20 heroes, and she opened up all of her loot boxes, and she got 2 new heroes out of her loot boxes, and they were both in the package that she already bought. So just in case you thought that wasn't going to happen, that totally happened. So don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
Nothing surprises me anymore when loot boxes are involved.
Okay, well, let me ask you if this surprises you. So I assume you guys are familiar with the Sniper Ghost Warrior series, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the newest Sniper Ghost Warrior game launched this week? Yeah, this week. Yeah. Tuesday. And if you've been following it all, you know that it was delayed.
Yes.
It was delayed twice.
Yes.
It was supposed to go out in January, then it was delayed to April, then it was delayed again to the end of April.
Which aren't the biggest delays that we've seen. We've seen
no. I mean delay whatever.
They're relatively mini delays, but
there's definitely a but in there. So the game comes out on Tuesday, and the review embargo lifts, and the first thing everybody finds out is that the game has no multiplayer experience in it at all, even though they've been showing off multiplayer in it the whole time it's been in development.
Yeah.
Everybody says, "Wait a minute, what's going on? Why is there no multiplayer?" This is the best part. So I want to just because I think it's funny, I want to share this statement with you from the studio. Okay. They said, throughout our development of Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, we have had two focuses. I'm going to fix that. The first is to provide the best possible single-player experience in our most ambitious game in the series to date. The second emphasis from us is to provide regular content updates post-launch, focusing on content that enhances the gaming experience. Right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we have chosen to release the multiplayer update that will be free for our players after launch in the third quarter of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
For precisely the above reasons, that is, not to dilute any potential from the single-player experience. What the hell?
Now, I saw this when it came down, but there was no prior announcement that the multiplayer would be delayed. Is the big thing here?
Yeah, that's
there
the
was
big problem.
Absolutely no indication. It's like, oh, surprise!
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
and that's quite a delay.
We're not going to have multiplayer. They tell you on launch morning.
Wait, this was on launch.
By the way, the review embargo lifted on at the same time. The game had been on sale for like 8 hours when the review embargo lifted because it went on sale at midnight.
Wait, they announced it. Wait,
there was no way to give any sort of warning to people about it.
Okay, that's incredibly sleazy.
So
that right there kind of rubs me the wrong way.
No, that seems
more than anything else.
That seems incredibly sleazy to me to not tell people until the day of launch.
Right.
Yeah. Like nobody knew. It was weird.
It is. It's very, very.
I mean, how many people went out and bought the game or whatever, or ordered it online or whatever, and weren't watching the video game news sites like a hawk to find out about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's my issue. My issue is there's no way for anybody to have known that, right? There's no way for anybody to have known that multiplayer wasn't in there. There's no way. I don't think there are millions of people that are rushing out to buy Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 for its multiplayer. Like, I think most people playing it are probably playing it because they want to play the campaign where you can sneak around and shoot people from a long way off.
Right.
That being said, the problem that I have is that that it was marketed as having multiplayer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they're hyping the multiplayer as a thing, then yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And yes, it's going to be free, but it's going to be free in the third quarter, which is like September.
Right.
That's 4 months away. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, well."
People are still going to be interested in the game that far away. Is another question there.
Oh my God, I can't imagine that people are going to gamers in this day and age have an attention span of a gnat. I mean, the game comes in, you play it, and you move on to something else. I know, God, I wish I could play a game for 4 months.
Overwatch, but okay.
I said me, not you.
But that's very much so exception, not the rule with me. It's
right.
Like I typically move on very quickly. There's very little that I will revisit. So
it just seems odd to me. It just seemed like a really odd situation and a really odd way of addressing it and a really odd way of moving forward.
Well, especially the reasoning given. They didn't want to dilute the single player experience. That makes no sense to me. Like, if it's not done, then you delay the whole thing. Give it a legit delay, which may have been what the issue was, is that the multiplayer just wasn't ready.
They said,
I'm not sure, but they don't want to dilute the single player experience. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
people are going to start the game and they're going to be like, do I want to do single player or do I want to do multiplayer?
Yeah.
I don't,
well, guess what?
I don't get how one would dilute the other. But then you've also got, review embargoes for a game that's half released.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were hoping to avoid getting a bunch of bad reviews because there's no multiplayer in it or what. I mean,
technically you can't I've never seen this in particular before, but I don't know how you would, like, how would you review that? It's missing a feature that everybody expected, but they told us that it was missing for this, and it's like you review what you have in front of you.
And the hard part about it is,
I don't know.
Well, and the hard part about it in that case is, I don't know, this should be common knowledge, but everybody should know this. If you review a game like, say, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, and I post a review on the Escapist, and that review ends up on Metacritic, if the multiplayer comes out in 3 months and we review it and it's terrible, and we want to revise our score downward, accordingly, Metacritic will not update that score.
No, not
yeah.
It's a one-time deal. Even if I publish a review and the review has an error in it and the score's wrong, and we correct it immediately, if they already have it, they won't change it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Stuck with it. So you're stuck with it. It's stuck on there, and that's the score that people use.
Right.
The shame of it is that the game's not bad. I've played a little bit of the campaign. I mean, if you played any of the previous games, it's pretty much what you'd expect. It's not bad. But I'm not going to review it because it's not finished.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
you don't review a game that's in early access. That's called a preview. So
yeah,
that's the most you could do for it right now.
Yeah, so it was a weird situation. I just don't know. Speaking of weird things that happened this week, this one blew me away. And Liz, I know you were excited too. The Limited Run Games, which is a publishing company that likes to do remasters and retro games and stuff like that, is going to publish a limited physical release of a remastered 25th anniversary edition of Night Trap.
Wow.
Now, I know most of the people listening and even participating in this call don't remember Night Trap. Because
well, how did it, I don't believe that for a second.
It came out in 1992, and it was on store shelves very long. Okay?
Am I that old?
You're not that old. No, I don't understand.
I think I still have it in the house.
So there are a couple of things about Night Trap that makes it amazing, right? There's a couple things about this that make this story really cool. The first thing is Night Trap, for those of you that haven't played it, was this full motion video. Like, they used live actors and they filmed it, and it was about this bunch of girls that were in a house, and you had to try to stop these evil monsters and stuff from carrying them off. It was an interactive game like that. It had like an hour and a half of full motion video in it. And and literally when it came out, it is considered to be one of the games that caused the ESRB to be formed.
Yep.
There is a short list of games that were brought on the floor of Congress in 1993.
Actual Congress.
Yes, Mortal Kombat was one of them. Doom was one of them. There was a game called Lethal Enforcers, if you remember that one.
I do.
And Night Trap.
Lethal Enforcers.
Yeah. They actually pulled the Sega CD version of Night Trap completely out of like Toys R Us and KB Toys because they got all these complaints. They pulled it out of every Toys R Us in the country. It was crazy.
Right.
They didn't pull Mortal Kombat, but they pulled Night Trap. And I'll never forget it. It was Joe Lieberman on the floor of the U.S. Senate calling Night Trap shameful, ultra-violent, sick and disgusting, and said that it encouraged an effort to trap and kill women.
Well, that's an outright lie. I mean, far be it for me to defend, the artistic integrity of Night Trap or whatever. But the whole point of the game is you're setting up these traps to prevent the vampire creatures from killing the, be-night-gowned Dana Plato.
Killing the women, yes.
Or whatever it was, yeah.
Yes, it was Dana Plato, for those of you that remember Dana Plato, so...
Perfect strokes. I mean, different strokes.
Different strokes.
Yeah.
Perfect strangers is what you were thinking of. I see where you're going, Balky. It's okay.
Yeah, I garbled it with Perfect Strangers.
Yes, I see where you're going, Balky. It's okay. And Lothian says, okay, guys, stream Night Trap. Don't think we haven't already talked about this.
It's happening.
Something about Night Trap, well, not interesting about Night Trap, is that it was originally not going to be, it was one of the reason Sega CD had so many of those, like, full motion video quasi-games was that, there's originally this console that never actually came out called the Action Max, I believe it was.
Yes.
That was actually this VHS tape based video game console, and they made a bunch of games for it, but it was canceled at pretty close to the last minute because like manufacturing costs would have been too high, basically, and and then like a couple years later when the Sega CD came out, they finally had a format that could actually do like full motion video, so they took all these Action Max games out of mothballs and put them on Sega CD. Yep,
that's all true. Now here's the part that I really enjoyed, okay, and you'll get a laugh out of this too, is remember what game we're talking about. We're talking about the game that literally caused the ESRB to be formed, right? One of them. So it's coming back. It is going to be released this spring. It's not far away. They haven't given an exact date, but they've said spring of 2017.
What's this being released for or on?
It is going to be on PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay.
It's going to be available digitally on PS4 and Xbox One, and there's going to be a physical release on PS4. The company that's behind the limited run games, they said Microsoft has not yet allowed them to do physical releases for Xbox One. So There you
But
go.
speaking of ESRB.
But speaking of ESRB, yes, the terrible, terrible, scary game that encouraged the killing and trapping of women, that caused the ESRB to be formed, is being re-released 25 years later, and it's rated T for teen.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, there's no there's no nudity in it. There's very little graphic. There's like the violence is not terribly graphic. I mean, it's
and what violence is there? The blood and stuff is all toned down. They did it on purpose back when they released it to try to keep it from being controversial.
Right.
So,
oh god, I love it though.
It's sort of a great commentary on the whole thing.
That's awesome.
For sure, and it's a commentary on what we're going to see in the future based on what we're seeing now as far as video games are concerned. Like we're not in the same exact situation.
Well, part of the
although it's similar enough that people are still getting
their panties in a twist.
Although I was gonna say part of the reason for the controversy in the first place is that like Joe Lieberman and others were, outright lying about the actual contents of the game. I mean,
that's also happening today. So.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like it's actually not. It's maybe not that shocking that it's only a teen-rated game because it was never as.
It was never not a teen-rated game.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. At least you can say Mortal Kombat. It really does have blood and people getting chopped in half and whatnot. They didn't make that. People criticizing the game didn't have to make that up.
Right.
So wait, hold on. I have one more piece of good news from this. The company that's doing the update, they took all of the best master tapes they could find from the original recording sessions, and they've redone all the video, trying to make it look as good as they can.
Oh my God.
The company that's behind all of this work is called Screaming Villains. And Screaming Villains, on their website at screamingvillains.com, they have the theme song for Night Trap available as a free download. And I'm telling you, it's definitely something.
You right back.
So if you're interested in hearing the theme song for what Bebop has wisely termed pearl clutching moral panic, then there you go. Screamingvillains.com.
Screamingvillains.com. Excellent.
So in probably much less hilarious news this week, we also got to see finally something that shocked everybody. You couldn't believe it. Call of Duty World War II.
It's amazing. No one saw this coming.
Nobody saw this coming. Nobody.
Yeah. I don't know how we could have possibly predicted this, right?
I just don't know, Liz. It was really confirmed on Friday of last week. Of course, we did podcast it on Thursday of last week, so we kind of missed out on that. And then this week we've seen some gritty footage, of some
Can I just?
So what's
the
that?
first thing I want to say is how disappointed I am with the name of it.
Yeah, it's
just Call of Duty World War II.
I mean, I want to say this. I have often criticized Battlefield and Call of Duty for sort of aping each other as they go along, you know. And this is just one more perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Call of Duty has been consistently going future, 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 and Battlefield goes, we'll go back. Call of Duty goes, hey, that worked pretty good for you. We're going back too.
Well, I'm sure it was in development.
I'm sure it was, but I mean, come on.
But that is absolutely how it appears, for sure.
No, it happens. It seems like it happens every single time. And then not just with Call of Duty aping Battlefield, but vice versa as well.
Right, absolutely.
Hairless Oregon is asking if we read the Polygon article about it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm going to go with that because,
Yeah.
Anyway. Unsurprisingly, Call of Duty World War II is going to come out on the first Friday in November. Because, nobody saw that coming either. And here's the thing. I kind of really want to play it because I've been saying for a while that I wish that we could get a decent World War II shooter back.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will be it, but I'm willing to give it a chance.
Give it a chance, yeah.
I was really, really disappointed to see that they're going to have zombies mode again.
Nazi zombies, though, Ron.
I know. It's been Nazi zombies, Liz. Where you been?
Hey.
That's the zombies is always kind of like, this is sort of the curse of having 3 different studios working on a Call of Duty franchise. Mm-hmm. Is that, like, you know, zombies was Treyarch's thing, and it was a thing they did really well. And now it's just like, we're gonna put zombies in every single Call of Duty game.
Right.
Lothian says, but Ron, Wolfenstein New Order. Yeah. But that was a single player game. I'm talking about a multiplayer game. It's really good though. I don't know. Who's the poor third crutch? There are 3 studios working on Call of Duty. You got Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer is the one making Call of Duty World War II.
That's right. As K Samurai's putting out, Metal Gear is getting zombies.
I know.
And nothing but zombies. Apparently.
Everybody's getting zombies. Look, Konami will probably have a Metal Gear Zombies pachinko machine out before that video game comes out. So, anyway, 2142. Somebody brings up Battlefield 2142. The definitely fun, but also probably the worst of the Battlefield games. Anyway, so Call of Duty World War II, not surprising anybody. I did think it was funny that they said, you know, in their reveal trailer, it was all this footage was captured in game, and then it was all cutscenes.
But it was in-game cutscenes.
It was in-game cutscenes. So, yeah, Call of Duty. Wow, you guys.
Wow. Yep.
So, now we come to the part where we have lots to talk about. This is the part of the podcast everybody's waiting for anyway. Now is the time on Sprockets when we talk about Nintendo.
Yes.
Because Nintendo did something really interesting this morning.
Yeah, they did.
Nintendo announced this morning that they're releasing a brand new handheld in July. And it's called the Nintendo 2DS XL, the new Nintendo 2DS XL.
Yes.
It has the same processor as the new 3DS. It has the little C-stick nub. It has extra shoulder buttons, the ZL and ZR, that aren't on the 3DS XL. And it has no 3D. But it'll play all your 3DS games, all your new 3DS games, and most DS games, all in 2D.
And I'll be honest, like, I have a 3DS. I never turn the 3D on.
Yeah, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, I never turn the 3D on mine either. I turn it every now and then when I'm playing something. I'm like, I wonder how cool this looks in 3D. And I turn it on and go, yep, back to 2D.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, this is probably not a thing that most people who already own a new 3DS will be looking at. But if you haven't upgraded to the quote unquote new 3DS with the bigger processor and all that stuff, and you've been thinking about it, it's $149. It's going to be out July 28th, and they have so far the coolest thing I've seen of it is the Japanese version that has was it Dragon Quest or Dragon whatever Japanese version that has it's got the slime on top of it. It's really amazing.
Well, it's nice to have some Nintendo news that doesn't have me like shaking my head in disgust, at least.
Yeah, no, they did a good thing.
Yeah, this is what might finally get me on the get me because I've been thinking about getting the new 3DS for a while, but the price is like $200, right?
It's $179, I think.
Oh, okay, but this and I'm not really interested in the 3D aspect anyway, so this might be the thing that gets me. Although I will say, I still hate the fact that Nintendo did this double dipping thing where they released a console and then they released a improved version of that console that like some games aren't compatible with the original. I still hate that, but anyway.
Yeah.
I only have one question.
What is it?
Does it come with a charger?
Does not say.
Then no.
So there's there are things that I have no interest in, and 3D on my handheld is one of them. We've got a couple of new 3DSs in the house, the upgraded version, and we've got my 3DS XL that refuses to be new because like me, it's old. And so this might be the one. Maybe this is the one that gets me to upgrade. We'll see.
There you go.
Not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. It's definitely
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely possible at this point. So, right now it comes in two colors. There's a sort of a black and blue color scheme and a white and orange color scheme. So that's what the new 2DS XL is. But I think there's a really interesting discussion to be had about not so much what it is as what it represents. And Liz hit on this immediately when we saw this earlier today, and that is, this means to me, and to Liz, I think I speak for both of us. I'm not sure about John, but this to me says Nintendo really thinks the Switch is a great home console.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of talk when the Switch came out. We're going to keep supporting the 3DS. We're going to keep supporting the 3DS. And we all went, right. Just like you're supporting the NES Classic.
Literally none of us believed it.
Yeah, it's going to be right there on store shelves with the NES Classic.
Yeah.
So, it's... I don't understand Nintendo sometimes. Like, again, this is the thing I think is good. I think that this will get people to talk about Nintendo, to look at its handhelds. And the handhelds are where it's strongest anyway.
Absolutely.
I mean, not even close.
As much as I like to criticize the Switch and Nintendo's decisions there, Nintendo has always been a handheld force, and I think they always will be. My biggest fear was that they were going to give up on that in order to go for this hybrid thing. So I'm glad they didn't.
At least not yet. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if this is. Hopefully, this is a signal for Nintendo to say, we're definitely splitting these two things up, right? We're going to keep them separate, because there was a lot of speculation that they had rolled the handheld team together, with all of the Switch stuff, and that it was just going to be one thing from then on, from then forward. So along those lines, let's talk a little bit about the numbers that came out in Nintendo's financial report this week.
Okay.
Because these are important numbers, I think, to sort of get an idea where Nintendo's at. We know that the Switch sold roughly 1.5 million units like that first weekend that it was out.
Mm-hmm.
That was where we were at. Since then, for March, they have shipped 2.74 million units of the Switch. And as anybody that's tried to find one knows, that they've sold most of them.
Yeah.
Now, that's where it gets interesting. Legend of Zelda has sold 3.84 million units.
Okay.
1.08 million for the Wii U, which means that for the 2.74 million Switches that have been shipped, 2.76 million copies of Zelda have been sold.
Wait,
for the Switch.
For the Switch.
Repeat that, please.
Okay, so there are 2.74 million Switches, 2.76 million copies of Zelda for the Switch. So there are, somewhere out there, there are 0.02 million, or roughly 20,000, copies of The Legend of Zelda for the Switch that don't have that a console has not been sold to a company.
Now, there are a couple of different options there. Somebody bought a collector's edition
and didn't want to open it.
And didn't want to open it. That could account for a few, absolutely. Double ordering just in case, because it's Nintendo and we know how their stock goes.
Right. I think that's really likely to be most of them.
Securing pre-orders from 2 different places, because it's not like we haven't seen issues with this stuff before. And you've always got the people who might think that they're going to do the scarcity thing with the game and that they can make a buck turning around and selling it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, we saw a lot of people do that with the Switch itself. So that's a possibility.
Well, that means we continue to
or
see
people who aren't completely sold on a Nintendo Switch yet, but they wanted to pick up Zelda, so they have it for when they are ready to do that.
You know, and then that does lead to the point though where Breath of the Wild has an attach rate on the Switch of like 101%, which is crazy. That's just insane. I don't even know.
Well, I mean, what else is there for the Switch right now?
Yeah, really. I mean,
well, here's the thing, and this is the part I want to dig into a little bit. That I want to dig a little deeper on is Nintendo's basically looking at these numbers and going, "Look how good these numbers are." Now we're going to ship 10 million more Switches by the end of this fiscal year, which is March of next year. So they're saying over the next 12 months, they're going to ship 10 million Switch consoles and 35 million Switch games.
Yeah.
It might just be me, but that seems really, really optimistic.
Yeah. It's definitely like premature was my first thought, because as of right now, I haven't seen too much that makes me look at the Switch as anything other than a Zelda box.
Right. I mean, Mario Kart 8's out today. Would you ever buy a console for Mario Kart?
No.
John?
No, and if I already have